G'day and welcome everybody, it's Duckville, got some Heart of the Swarm, Terran vs Zerg action coming at you right now. It is from the Korean server. We've got a Grandmaster's Terran player down at the bottom left hand side. I actually don't know who it is, so it could be anyone. Who knows, it could be me. No, not really. We'll just go with Mr. Red for this guy, or just Red, I don't know, whatever. Maybe you guys can think of a name after we watch how this guy plays, because you'll be able to suggest the name in the comments. Of course, make sure you're posting and saying hi and all those things, so I know you guys are liking the videos. Up at the top right hand side is our blue Zerg player, sorry. He looks to be crazy as you, but it is actually from Team Iris down in New Zealand. It is Crimson. He's going to be here facing off against, he's in like top of Masters on the Korean server and playing against our GM Terran player down at the bottom side. So this should be a really interesting challenge for Crimson to see how he goes. Of course, there have been a couple of other VODs of Crimson previously on the channel, so if you'd like, you can sure go and have a look at and see how he likes to play. He's definitely a very good player, one of the very good players from the C region. So looking forward to see how this game goes. Of course, it is on Neo Planet S, one of the big maps, one of my favorite maps actually, but one of the big maps used in the scene, of course, in Pro League, in GSL, and I believe GSTL as well. Not to mention, of course, also available on ladder. So both of these players, of course, will be really prepared for all the big types of players that this particular matchup tends to favor. Of course, Zerg players looking towards things like Baneling, Ling, and Mutas quite a lot in this matchup. And it's very dependent on the map as well. Of course, this particular map does have a few wide open spaces. Of course, you've got the various areas across to the side here where there's a lot of open room for battles to occur. And of course, like a lot of the time, you'll actually find, as we can see, this is the space between the third and the natural for the Terran player. And a lot of the battles you actually see take place will occur around this region. So we'll see how Red is going to be able to deal with that. It does look like he is going for just a quick Reaper to start off the match. Of course, these little pesky little buggers are quite annoying for some Zerg players to deal with. You may lose a drone, maybe two. Probably not more than that if you've got some really good micro, which Crimson certainly does have. I tell you what he's also good at, and that's Shackles as Windrunner in Dota 2. But that's another story. But we'll see him picking up the hatchery. Of course, gas is also done, getting up a little bit of gas. We'll see him pick up the speed for those Lings very, very quickly in the Reaper. Speaking of which, now speeding across the map. So as I was saying, a lot of the battles tend to occur around these regions, so it'll be interesting to see how Red actually decides to deal with these certain areas, just sort of across here and across here. You often have the Zerg player will come in and just try and flank sometimes on these sorts of positions, try and capitalize on the fact that there's a lot of space to defend between here. Of course, the ramp that's there as well is quite vulnerable if the rocks are also picked apart, and now you know, it can be one of the ways which Zerg players can try and deal with these kinds of things. So Red is going to poke across. Looks like he is going to take a few hits from those Lings, but some decent micro. As we said, you may get, you may be able to get 2 or 3 units right at the start with the first Reaper. You probably won't get too many more than that, because by the time that you can get in and get some more damage done, the speed will be complete. There will be queens out on the map, all these kinds of things which can deflect the Reapers. So this is why they're a fantastic scouting tool. And what we didn't actually see Red doing much scouting inside the base, he hasn't actually checked if there's double gas or anything interesting like that, which could lead to some sort of all-in from our Zerg player. But they still do a decent job of scouting about the map, picking off a couple of small units every now and then, but they don't decimate mineral lines as much as they used to. So Crimson has finished off his speed, or just about to finish off the speed, and has taken the workers out of gas. So it does look like he is going to look for a little bit more of a mid-game here. We're not going to go for any crazy sorts of all-ins, and he will get started with some creep spread just down here at the natural base. The Lings now kicking in with their speed. 4 Lings going to be able to pick off this Reaper, of course. Unfortunately, the Reaper not faster than the Lings with speed. They are generally faster than most of the units apart from that, though. So we'll see how he is going to deal with these incoming Lings. Looks like a couple of Hellions going to be opening up here for Red. He's going to be able to roast apart all of those Lings. We'll see if they get away. Nope, gets roasted. Slides down the cliff just a little bit. So it is, as we can see, just the Reactor Hellion opening here for our Terran player. It looks like he's going to follow up with a quick third base. We've got eBays down the back, meaning that he is looking to go towards a mid-game and obviously looking to play a much more macro-based style. Going to pick up those upgrades, which will slow slowly come along while getting his natural all set up and running, and of course his third base. So Crimson will try and have a quick poke in towards the natural. A little bit of a you know, not a huge amount of Zerglings, but a decent amount that have come through to try and see if there is a little bit of weakness here. Of course, some players will play a little bit more greedy and not get the 4 Hellions. Sometimes it'll just be 2, and then a transition into Widow Mines and these kinds of things. And, you know, they can be caught out. But speaking of Widow Mines, of course, this matchup recently has seen, of course, that evolution of the Marine, Widow Mine, and Medevac kind of play, which the Terrans have been loving to do. Of course, the Widow Mine's wonderful against big packs of Banelings and Lings, going to be able to pick off really big, sizable chunks of a Zerg army if you can get the Widow Mine to hit on the correct targets. So we'll see if Crimson is going to deal with that. Of course, there are various ways to try and diffuse the mines. If you're not, you know, you don't have to be Jack Bauer to do these kinds of things. What you can do, send in a single Ling, send in a Changeling, drop some infested Terrans if you've got infestors out, and they can defuse the mines before they actually splash all over your army. So looks like Crimson is going to have a little bit of trouble at the front door here. The Hellions just coming across, actually taking out one of the creep tumors there. Nicely done, and as you can see, we have picked up a whole bunch of Lings. So he is going to make sure there is at least a sizable defense force out for the moment. He has picked up the third base, so we'll see. You know, there are, of course, you know, various ways that you can attack into this third. We may see the red player, oops, that's not an arrow, that's an arrow. He's going to attack in this way into the bases. You can jump up the back here, maybe get some of those drones as well. In fact, he's going to do that right now. Just going to look for that push in towards the back. There are some Lings ready and ready to go there from Crimson. It looks like he is going to lose most of those Lings, though. Of course, the Queen will be here to help out, but she is not going to be able to do too much. Looks like the Lings are going to come across. Some more defensive Lings here for Crimson. He's going to be able to pick off at least, well, maybe 2. Nope, just the one of those Hellions that came through. Nice micro from our red player to pull some of those back. So have a look at the work count here. Of course, we've got our Terran player sitting up at about 45 SCVs, bringing in 3 at a time, of course, adding in with that third orbital command, which is now just moving over to his third base. So he is going to boost up his economy in just a moment. Of course, his opponent sitting up at 69 drones, 72 for the moment, in fact, just added a few more to the count. Going to grab that macro hatch as well to make sure his production is on cue. And as we can see, it is going to be that Mutiling Bane style, at least for the early portion of the game. So the Spire just about to pop up, the Mushroom building about to finish up there, and of course we can see now with Crimson on 6 gas coming in, he should have enough of the resources there to start really producing some of those Mutas, and of course the Banes that go with it, and all those Lings on the ground as well. So it'll be interesting to see how he attacks. Of course, you can try and knock down the walls and try and bust in towards your opponent's third base. You can come through with the Banes and the Lings, try and open up the door there, and then, of course, come with the Mutas into the back. And then, you know, if need be, the Mutas can also push across down through the main and actually just come across, get some damage done here in this region. And it can be quite devastating. And, of course, we can see that our red player has not erected any turrets just as of yet. So he's going to be relying on the fact that he does have quite a few Marines out. These guys have now got 1-1 on their upgrades, and we'll see how well they are able to defend against those Mutas, which are no doubt coming along. 2-2 being researched for the Terran player right now. But Crimson has a quick look through the base and sees that it is just that standard sort of bio, and we'll start to see some mines then popping out. And there is that the vulnerability at the natural base there. SCVs being picked apart by those Mutas. They don't have their huge upgrades at the moment. Still, +1 is halfway done for them, so they're not going to tear apart absolutely everything, but they have certainly done a good job of disrupting the mining here at the natural base for our red player. Looks like they will eventually be pushed back now, and Crimson will have to get out of there pretty quickly. So this has not only delayed some of the mining, but as we can see, the attack that was pushing across the map from red has been forced back for the moment. He has had to come back with all of these Marines, trying to get some, trying to just fully deflect that attack, and Crimson getting as much as he can there, gets a total of 9 worker kills, and now he's actually going to push into the third base as well, recognizing that those Marines were completely out of position. The SCVs are going to get blown up by the Banelings on approach, and there they come. Going to try and get back in to kill some more of those Marines. With good start, a step back from the Terran player, and it looks like he will be able to close down and kill off most of these the Lings attacking into this base. But Crimson has also had a quick look inside the natural again. He, as we can see here, is going to get cleaned up. All of those Lings are not going too well, but he probably could have just, I don't know, maybe ran those out. But either way, did come across, took out quite a lot of the Marines that went with it, not to mention all of those SCVs. A total of 33 SCV kills for Crimson right now, so he's going to be sitting quite happy with that result, taking his opponent down to 40 SCVs. He's currently sitting on 74 himself, going to take a 4th base and get his economy ready for the late game, where of course it looks as if we are going to push into now, as we see our Terran player researching the drilling claws for those mines, of course allowing them to burrow in 1 second instead of 3. The vehicle armor also being added on. Some people were asking, actually, I can't remember on which video it was, but some people were asking, you know, does the Widowmine, does the weapon upgrade for vehicles actually affect the Widowmines? No, it does not, because this is actually a spell. The Sentinel missiles is counted as a spell damage, not like an actual, you know, like a shot from a rifle or something like that. So vehicle weapon upgrades do not actually matter at all for those Widowmines. Not to mention, could you imagine Widowmines getting a little bit more extra damage? I'm sure that the SC2 community would be floating on tears. So we can see the Crimson has boosted up that muta count yet again. It looks like we've got 19 in total. Going to come in and try and deal with some of these turrets, but a Widowmine shot and the 2 turrets that are here are going to at least soften them up. We'll see if the Marines are able to come across and push them out. Looks like they will be able to. The couple of Widowmines not bothering to burrow there just as of yet, but Crimson sizing up his opponent, getting some Lings out. We're going to see some Banes, I'm sure, very soon as well. 26 more Lings on the way, and that is going to bring his total of Lings out on the map up to around about 100. So he's definitely sticking with this very heavy Ling, Baneling, and Muta style. Of course, we do see the Banes now rolling across. Ling's trying to push across and see if they can get some damage done. Looks like the Widowmine just across to the side, getting massive hits on the Banelings there, disrupting the majority of the forces. It looks as if Crimson will be able to get some more work done there, and the Mutas, meanwhile, coming back to try and defend a drop at the right-hand side expansion. But Crimson getting so much damage done here. Team kills from the Widowmines helping out so much, and it looks as if Crimson will have free reign to now push into this 3rd base. It's only 7 Lings, so it's not exactly a huge amount, but they do have 2-2, so they will be able to, you know, cut across and kill some of these SCVs. And it looks like runs across, another huge pack of Lings goes down to a big Widowmine splash, and the Lings continuing to try and push across into the natural base, but Red is ready to go and he's okay for the moment. Widowmines at the front, Marines also coming out. And as we can see, the muta count still sitting at a decent total for Crimson right now. He's currently got a total of 19. Going to be adding that into the forces of the 38 Lings on the ground. Of course, we'll probably see some Banelings soon as well. But for the moment, as we said, just getting prepared for that late game. Adding in another 13 drones as he gets ready to push in at the front door of Red right now. And it looks like the Lings are going to soak up a lot of the damage. The Marines taking big hits there. They still only have 3-2. 3-3 is on the way. Of course, the weapons is going to finish up a little bit quicker, but it is going to be a little bit delayed. And now, as we can see, the economy of Crimson is really going to start kicking into gear. 81 drones out on the map right now for him, so he's going to have a very nice gas income. Of course, we're up to 8 gases, counting the 4th base, and we'll probably see a couple more up here at the 5th towards the top left-hand side as well. Meanwhile, for the Terran player, we can see that he's still sitting at a total of 59 SCVs. Not bad at all, of course, because you've got to factor in the mules, but he is, well, he's got to be very careful soon. He does need to get out on the map. It does need to certainly get some damage done, because his opponent is really just putting himself in a wonderful position for the late game. We can see the mutas now yet again coming through, taking down 3 turrets. We've got SCVs available to be picked off here, and it looks like in the middle of the map, the Marine attack that was pushing through, trying to clean up some of the creep there, has, well, been disrupted, not necessarily taken out though, and the Marines will be forced to retreat. The Banelings and Lings coming along far too powerful for the Terran play to deal with. So Crimson, we mentioned before, just sort of setting up for the late game. We've got the Ultralisk Cavern here. The Chitinous Plating, of course, will probably get started very soon. The Infestors may come out, or perhaps, you know, we may see just the switch there into Vipers and these kinds of things, which can be very useful as well. Of course, you know, I still think there's quite a few really decent options for Zerg players, but the issue is dealing with these Widowmines. Of course, with the Tunneling Claws and that huge amount of damage that they do, it's obviously 125 on the main target, and then switching across a little bit of splash on the remaining targets as well. But they just do so much damage, as we can see, putting some of those mutas in the yellow and the orange there. And as we can see, the Lings are now free to get into the third base. Again, this base disrupted by Crimson, and back at home, he's got 5 Ultras on the way, 3-3 upgrades, Chitinous Planing, Adrenal Glands, everything getting set for a massive late game here for our Zerg player. He's, well, he looks as if he is starting to really control things out on this map right now. The SCV count's still down to 52, but the upgrades are just about to complete. So the Marines are going to have 3-3 in just a second. There it is. And we've got a decent total of Widowmines out. We got 16 Widowmines. I read a really interesting stat on Team Liquid yesterday about Widowmines is, as you get more of them, your chances for winning just go up like an incremental, like a really ridiculous sort of amount. And I think it's like once you get past 10 Widowmines, the win rates of Terran players of replays submitted just goes up so much. It's pretty interesting to look at, of course, alluding to how strong those units certainly can be. But Crimson, now with a huge total of those Ultras out, 8 Ultras in total on the map. We've got 21 Lings still out on the map. We've got some mutas still available as well, and Widowmines, we'll see if they're able to cut down some of the Ultra list here, but not really able to get too much done. One big key thing which we have not seen from the red Terran players, some drops into the third, into the into the outlying bases, these kinds of things. It looks like there is a Marine and a few units trying to push across down the southern edge of the map, but obviously most of the focus is going to be at this top side here. He does need to defend against these various attacks that come in from these sides, and of course also from that top section there as well. Not to mention the mutas have free reign to just push across in these various angles, not only to soak up perhaps some of the Widowmine damage, but also just to cripple some of the forces on the ground for the red player. So looks like Crimson going to bring in 16 Banelings to add into this large force of Ultras that he has available. It looks like we will finally get a drop from the red player. He's dropping in at the top side base, but too many spines here. We've got some Lings on the ground as well, and despite some decent micron positioning here on these Marines, it looks like that will be cleaned up in the end, and yes it is. A few Marines do escape. They're going to jump into the medevac, try and head across to the third base to see if they can get some damage done there. But this base as well, also well protected. We've got a one spine here. Of course, another one is just building there as well. But now with the mutas coming across, that is the end of that. But this has given time for the Terran player to be able to start getting some more Marauders out. Of course, adding in those guys really helps in dealing with the Ultras. But is it too late here? Crimson now pushing across, having to lift up everything is our red Terran. He's got so much approaching his position here. Lings now pushing through. Widowmines nicely spaced out, of course, so, going to take out a lot of the units here, but will it be enough? The fourth base now gone in seconds there, exploded by a whole bunch of those Ultras and the Banelings there, and it looks like there will be another drop towards the right-hand side of the map, but I'm not sure this is going to be the saving grace for our Terran, but we'll see. Crimson still bringing out 62 Lings, the Ultras mostly alive at this position here. A little bit surprised to not see a couple of Overseers come along with this force so he can clean up some of these mines. There is still a huge total of mines. 24 mines are out on the map right now, and he was able to get a little bit of damage done across here at the right side, but of course the worker kill tally is favoring Crimson by a ridiculous amount. And now we see that the red Terran is still struggling to try and put together a force to deal with all of these units on the ground. Ultras waddling their way across the snow. They don't have skis, so they are still very slow, and he has been able to just disrupt so many of these bases of the red Terran, and that sort of puts him in this position where, as we can see, third base is about to be mined out. The main is, of course, pretty much already mined out, the natural as well, and we'll see if our red Terran here is able to come back. Of course, he's got some more units building, mostly Marines. We do have a few Marauders coming along, and another command center being built at the fourth base, but is this going to be able to get up in time? We can see the Crimson is just continually holding his bases together. We've got a lot of drones out on the map still. We've got 77 drones. Of course, this is a part in TVZ where you sort of want to start really restricting the mining of your Zerg opponent, and of course a lot of players will do that with lots of dropping, with lots of mine, Marine pushes, all these kinds of things, but he just hasn't had time. He's been constantly assaulted by the Lings, the mutas, and all these things that Crimson has out on the map, and now we can see that really starting to take its toll, because Crimson is just able to easily slam out a whole bunch of units to defend as when he needs it. He can also start getting these big units out, the Ultralisks, and of course we can see 2 more on the way, so he is going to boost up that count, struggling with his minerals just a little bit, but of course those Ultras are quite expensive. Another drop towards the top left hand side here. It looks like it was a A double drop that came through, only one of the medevacs surviving. The Marines able to get a decent amount of damage and may, in fact, be able to pick off that hatchery because Crimson is busy waddling his way through the middle of the map here. Widdermine's actually taking out quite a lot of these units, and the Ultras are going to come across. They may... Oh, that one is so close to death right now. But for the most part, they stay alive, but they are still continually being picked apart by the Widdermines, and there are those Overseers. I was waiting for that, waiting to see some detection come out of Crimson, and now he's able to take out the Widdermines. The count of Widdermines taken down to a total of 7, 6, continually dropping down to 5 there, and that is pretty much a signal that the end is nigh for our Terran player here. He's done his best to try and fight back the Zerg Swarm, but there has just been so much going on. Double drops across to the right-hand side of the map in a very precarious position. They're very low health, and Spore Crawlers are going to pick off at least one of them. Yes, it does. The other one does try and get out. Of course, a few units will drop out here and see what damage they can get done, but the third is now just about polished off here. A couple of extra racks are there. Of course, the Orbital Command forced to lift. The fourth is up and running, but, you know, where are the SCVs? We don't actually have many SCVs out right now at all, and the red player agrees he's going to GG and tap out for this game. So well played by Crimson from Team Iris down in New Zealand. Wonderful game playing against this GM Terran, and was able to hold his own against that very powerful Mine Marine force, which is generally used quite a lot in this matchup. So I hope you all enjoyed that one, and I'll catch you all next time. Doesn't matter too much to me. He's going to see just maybe the one gate. In fact, even if he got to look at that, but that does supply block Retorp just for a second here while he's getting all of his drones out. So the economy will start to really boost up here for